Hi there, guys. Welcome back to the VDC space. So today we're going to be modeling a concrete batch plant in Revit. So I managed to download these families from beamobjects.com. So I will leave the link in the description, and everything else we're just going to model from scratch. So we have these silos, we have the mixer unit, we have the steel structure for the conveyor belts, and then we have these beam feeders for concrete. Now, before I get started, I would like to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you're already subscribed, hit that notification button because I upload BIM modeling tutorials 3 times every week. I cover different topics, as you can see on my playlist, and also I upload membership videos during weekends. So make sure that you join my membership, and you can select whatever tier that suits your needs, and I think you will find my membership videos much more interesting. Now, without further ado, let's start with our project. So we're going to start with the construction template and say open. So in this instance, we're just going to expand these views and elevations because this is going to be a pretty big project. So we're going to establish our grids after this, and then we're going to place one there and say pick lines and say we're going to offset this one by 4,800 and then another one by 6,500 and another one by 4,800. Perfect. So we're just going to center them like this and then place other ones that are running across like this. And then this one, we're going to say pick lines. Okay, let's actually start from this point. This one, I'm going to name it A and say grid, pick line, and then this one I'm going to offset it by 2000 millimeters. So I'm going to place 4 of them. So 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to offset another one by 4000 millimeters. And then another one by 2000 millimeters. So we're going to place 4 of them. So 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to offset another one by 2000 actually, and then another one by 5005, then another one by 5005, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So this is where our feeder is going to be based. This is where our conveyor belt is going to be running. This is where our mixer unit is going to be based along with our silos. Now we're going to go to the south elevation just to establish our levels. Before we do that, just go to your plan and then extend these views, and this view extends so that you can see the entire project when you go to the elevation. So back to the south elevation, you can just drag these all the way to the end. And I'm just going to rename this to 00 dash base. Enter and say yes. And then this one is going to be 01. Just name it level 1, level 01. Actually, level 1 is fine. And I'm just going to reduce the offset of this. I'm just going to make it 3000 millimeters. And then I'm going to say copy. So I'm going to copy this one by further 5000 millimeters. And this is going to be O2 level 2. So as you can see, it is grayed out. So what we have to do is we have to incorporate it into our floor plans and structural plans. So I'm just going to go to views. Under plan views, I'm just going to drop down, go to floor plan and say OK. And then I'm going to go back to structural plans and then incorporate these ones. And this is what we have. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use the structural plans to work on this project. So I'm going to go to base, close the base for our floor plan, and this is what we have. So I'm just going to center these grids that are running across like this. So the first thing is we're going to concentrate on our silos and also our mix unit. So I'm just going to go to structure and say insert load family. And then metric library, I'm going to go to structural foundations. I'm going to choose pad foundation rectangular and say okay. So the size I'm going to go with, I think 1000 by 1000 by 500. I think it's fine. So I'm going to go to structure and say isolated. So on isolated, I'm just going to place, actually before I place my bases, I'm going to place my silos. So I'm going to go to insert load family, and then I'm just going to load in my family that I've saved. So I will leave the link in the description so that you guys can download it. So I'm gonna go to component and I'm just gonna place my families. As you can see, I'm gonna place it right where the grids intersect, and I'm gonna change its orientation by pressing the spacebar on my keyboard, and I'm just gonna place it like that. So obviously I'm gonna have to adjust it. So this is the middle, so I'm gonna have to place it like this. If I go to the south elevation, this is where it's based. So I'm just gonna adjust it and I'm gonna drag it from this point towards the base level. So I'm gonna go back to my base, press VR on my keyboard, set the view extent to 4000, let's say to 4000 millimeters, cut plane and say apply and then okay. Now we can see the entire thing. So I'm just gonna copy it to the other grids. So it's another one right there. And then I'm gonna select these three, copy them to the other side like this. So if you open up the 3D view, this is essentially what you have. So I'm gonna go back to the base and then structure isolated, and then I'm just gonna press my base. Okay, let's just set this to wireframe so that we can see what is happening. Isolated, and I'm just gonna place it like, so I'm gonna select it, say copy. So I'm gonna use this corner as my reference and then just place it like this. So I'm just gonna copy them and select these bases, and then copy them to the other silos. So if you go to the 3D view, this is essentially what we have. So I'm just gonna say insert load family. I'm just gonna select the larger size of our pad foundations. So I'm gonna go to the structural foundation, pad foundation, and I'm just gonna increase it to 1.5 and say, so I'm gonna select one, right click, select all instances visible in view and say 1.5, 1.5, and then duplicate, and then I'm just gonna change the thickness to 500. So the foundation thickness, I'm gonna change it to 500 and say okay, perfect. Now I'm gonna go to the base. So after this, we're gonna have to model a structure that is gonna be um, where our mixer unit is going to be sitting on top of. So essentially, we are going to place steel columns and steel beams. So I'm going to go to structure and say column, set my constraints to height, set it to level 1 from base, make sure it's vertical, and then I'm going to place them right on these grids like this. And say finish edit mode. And if I go to the 3D view, this is essentially what we have. So I'm going to set this to fine so that I can see it more clearly. And yeah, this is basically what we have. So I'm going to select them visible in view and press spacebar on my keyboard so that I can change their orientation like this. And then another thing is I'm gonna go to my beam. So I'm gonna select this beam. I think it's fine. So I'm gonna set my level to level 1, and then I'm gonna place them from column to column across like this. So it's going to be center to center, but they will certainly refine themselves and they are going to be set like this. And another thing is we're going to place a beam system right on top of this. right on top of these beams. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to open up level 1. So after I open up level 1, I'm going to set this to fine. And then I'm going to select my beam system. So on my beam system, I'm going to place it. Now, I'm going to start from this point and I'm going to end it on this point. So essentially, these two lines indicate the direction of where your beams are going to be running. So I'm going to select the beam direction, say pick lines, and then I'm going to place it right on the side. So I'm going to set my fixed number so that I can place the amount of, so that I can configure the amount of beams I can place right on this. So I'm going to set it to 8 and say okay. So there are going to be 8 of them. And after this, I'm going to go back to my south elevation and I'm going to set my level of detail to fine and then select my entire beam system and then I'm just going to move it upwards so that I can place it right on so that I can place these beams right on top of these ones. So if I go to the 3D view, this is essentially how it looks. Now, after this, we can certainly start modeling our mixer unit. So we're going to start with our floor and we're going to go to structure and then floor. And then we're going to select this floor upper 160 mils. And I'm just going to select my rectangle and then place it from this point until until this point. And say finish edit mode, go to the south elevation, and then I'm gonna place adjust it, adjust the floor so that I can place it right on top of these beams. So this is how it looks. Now after this, you're gonna go back to the level 1 and just remove these annotations. I think they're making things, yeah. So you can just remove those annotations. And after this, you can just set your VR to 4,000 millimeters and your cut length to 4,000, say apply and then okay. So perfect. So for our mixer unit, it's essentially a corrugated sheet running across. It's sort of like a building made up of corrugated iron and just a simple roof. So we're gonna go to architecture, under wall, we're gonna select our wall, and then we're gonna scroll down and select the curtain wall storefront. Select the rectangle and then set our level to level 2. And then the way we're gonna place it, so I think it's fine. We're gonna start from this point and then press space bar on your keyboard so that it can be constrained inside the perimeter of your slab. So you're going to place it like that. So if you go to the 3D view, this is how it looks. Now what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate aluminum as our curtain panel. So in order for us to do that, you're going to drop down the families, go to curtain panels, system panels, and then you're going to right click, duplicate, and then you're gonna name this alum, short for aluminium. And then you're gonna double click on that, and then you're gonna change the thickness to 30 millimeters. And then the material, you're gonna change it from default and type in aluminium. And then you're gonna load in aluminium and say okay, apply, and then okay. Perfect. Now you're going to select this entire storefront wall, go to edit type, duplicate, and say OK. And then we are only going to work with the vertical mullion. So I'm going to set the horizontal grid to none and then set the vertical mullion to fixed distance. And then I'm going to set it to 900 mils. And I'm going to set my curtain panel to the system panel that we have created, which is aluminum. And then I'm going to set my vertical mullions to 30 millimeter square. And then I'm going to say apply and say okay. And then I'm going to say delete grid line so that I can delete horizontal ones. So I'm going to select the entire storefront, and then I'm going to set my base to, let's say, 500. See what happens, so that it can be set on top of this slab. So you can certainly adjust this. So you can select these curtain walls, adjust it so that until it detects the floor. Now, so that you can just place it perfectly right on top of these floors. So another thing is we're just gonna go to insert, load family, and say metric library, and then we're gonna go with curtain wall panels, and then we're gonna select one door out of this. So we can just select a random one, like let's select this one and say okay. And then after this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to architecture and say curtain grid, and then we're gonna place it like this. So it's gonna be horizontal, and then I'm gonna set the offset to 2110 and say okay. And then after this, I'm just gonna select this curtain grid, and then under curtain grid, I'm gonna select this add or remove segment, and then I'm gonna remove the segment from this panel, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then I'm gonna skip this one, and then I'm gonna remove this one, and then this one. I think we forgot one, so this one. So I think it's fine. So I'm just gonna, and then after that, I'm gonna select Malian, and then I'm gonna place my Malian over there. Let's just remove this one. I don't know why it's not. Okay, yeah, now it's removed. So after this, obviously I'm gonna select this, set it to 30 millimeter square because these ones are 30 millimeters. And then after that, you're gonna hover over this, press tab on your keyboard. I think this panel is selected, and then you're gonna unpin it, and then drop down under your properties, and then feed it this glass panel that you have loaded in. And then I'm just gonna say spacebar on my keyboard just to change its orientation. And now we have our access door towards our mixer unit. This is perfect. So after this, you're just gonna model your roof. You're gonna go to the last level, level 2. Under build, you're gonna select the roof rectangle, and then you're gonna place it from this point until this point. And I want my roof to slope in this direction and also this direction. So I'm going to select these lines, and I'm going to uncheck this define slope, and also I'm going to do it this side. And then if I go to the 3D view and say finish edit mode, I want it to look like this. And then I'm just going to change it to roof generic 125. And obviously we don't have to have a space right here. It doesn't look right. So in order for you to fix that, you're going to select this wall, and then under modify wall, you're going to select attach top base, and then you're going to select it. Make sure your constraints are set to attach wall top, and then you're going to select, and then you're going to select your roof, and then it's going to be attached like this. You're going to do the same thing this side and attach it towards your roof. Perfect. Now the next thing is you're gonna go to the base. After going to the base, you're gonna select your stairs, and then you're gonna place your stairs. So I'm gonna start from this point. Let's offset it maybe by 2.5, and then 4,000. I'm gonna select it, offset it by 2,000, and then place it like this. Okay, I think that's fine. So I'm going to select it, and then I'm just going to adjust it so that it becomes centered towards our door. Go to the 3D view and say I'm going to select it. Actually, we're going to set it to commercial exterior steel fire escape and say okay. And this is how it's supposed to look, and say finish edit mode. So obviously the level, I'm going to set it to base to level 1, and this is how it looks. But obviously, as you can see, it clashes with the door, so I'm going to select it. Under dimensions, I'm just going to increase the desired number to 20 just to reduce its height. Now it's perfectly placed. Okay, so after this, we're going to go to the base. So essentially, we are done with our mixer unit, our silos. Now it's time to model the structure for our conveyor belt. We're going to go to the foundation. So on the foundation, I'm going to select the reference plane. I'm going to set it right in the middle like this so that I can just use it as my reference. And after this, obviously our conveyor, the structure for our conveyor has to slope down. So in order for us to do that, I think let's just go to the west elevation and let's just extend these. Okay, let's set this to wireframe. Actually, I think it would be easier if we place a section like this. So finish edit mode. And I'm just gonna set this to fine. Okay, so after this, I'm just gonna select a reference plane and I'm gonna place it. So I'm gonna offset it from this level by, let's say 1.5. And then I'm gonna select another reference plane from this point. And then it's gonna be sloping down by, let's say, I think 35 degrees. Yeah, I think 35 degrees is fine. So essentially the structural systems that's going to be set on the sides of our conveyor belts, they're going to be following the slope of this reference plane. So in order for us to model that, we're going to go to insert, load family, and then metric library, and then structural trusses, and then we're going to choose uh, this one, the last one, Warren with Camber top quad truss 14 panel, and say open. But essentially, we're gonna modify it. So you're gonna go to under your families, you're gonna go to structural trusses, right click on the one we have loaded, edit, and then we're gonna select this line, remove it, and then the top chord, you're just gonna set it at 90 degrees and then extend it towards the end. And then you're gonna have to adjust these webs like this, and also these members, you just have to adjust them like this. And I think this is perfect. So the height of this, I think we can set it to 1,000 millimeters. Actually, we can adjust it in Revit. So in the Revit workspace, so it's fine. So I'm just gonna load it in. I'm not gonna save this. Override the existing version and its parameters. And then I'm gonna go to my let's say level one. I think level one is fine. So I'm gonna back to my section one and rename this reference plane and name it conveyor. Enter. Go to level one, structure, truss, and then I'm gonna set my reference to reference plane conveyor, and then I'm gonna draw my structure from this point, and then towards that point, I'm gonna make it 10.5. So go back to section one, and this is how it looks, but obviously I'm gonna have to change these members. So I'm gonna go to insert, load family, metric library, structural framing, steel, British standards, and then universal beams, say okay. And then I'm gonna load in 150, 127, 76 by 13. So I'm gonna say okay, and then I'm gonna select this truss, go to edit type, and then I'm gonna replace all of these with the one we have added. So it's 127, 127, 127, and 127. Say apply and then okay. So this is how it looks. So if I say align um, and then I press this reference plane, and then I'm gonna select this bottom chord and then align it like this. It's gonna be set like this. So let's just remove that line, and obviously you can adjust this like this. And I'm gonna select it, set my truss height to 1000 millimeters, truss height to 1000 millimeters, and then it's gonna be reduced like that. So I'm gonna select this one, go to my level one, copy it to the other side by, let's say, 500, and then all in all it's going to be 1000. I'm going to select the one in the middle, delete, and then go to the 3D view. This is essentially how it looks. So after this, you're going to have to model the members that are running on the bottom, which the ones that will be balancing the conveyor belt. So in order for you to do that, we're going to have to model our conveyor belt. So not our conveyor belt, sorry, our beam system. So I'm going to go to beam system, and then I'm going to set my reference to the reference plane conveyor and say okay. And then I'm going to select pick lines, and then I'm going to pick the middle of the bottom chords of our truss like this. And I'm just going to say trim and extend. And obviously this side, pick lines, I'm gonna have to pick where the mixer unit starts. Say, actually, I'm gonna have to pick where this truss ends. So like this, and say trim and extend, and save. And then for the direction of our beams, I'm gonna set it that across like this. And then I'm gonna set this to minimum spacing. I'm gonna set it to 1500, and then I'm gonna set my beams to 127 and say finish edit mode. So this is essentially how it looks, and obviously I'm gonna increase the number of these beams. Let's set the maximum spacing to 600, and this is how it looks. So after this, we're not gonna incorporate the conveyor belt itself. It's just the truss frame around it. And then after this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna model the roof that's running on top of this structure. So I'm not a fan of model in place, but in this instance, we're gonna use it. So model in place, type in roof, say okay, okay, and then you're gonna say sweep, sketch path, pick lines. You're gonna pick this member, right? Actually, we're gonna have to set our work plane first. Sorry about that. Let's remove this line. So work plane, I'm gonna say pick a plane, and then I'm gonna pick on top of this beam, place my path, and say okay. And then I'm gonna select edit profile, start and radius arc. I'm gonna start from this point, take it to the right horizontally like this, and then I'm gonna place it like that. And then I'm gonna say pick lines, and then the thickness of this, I'm gonna set it to 20 mils. So it's gonna be 20 millimeters. And then I'm just gonna join it like this. Actually, let's do 20 millimeters right on the interior. So it's gonna be 20 millimeter offset. Then I'm gonna offset it like this. And then I'm just gonna close it down. So that's our profile, finish, and say finish edit mode, and this is essentially how it looks. This is perfect. Now I'm gonna say finish edit mode, and this is what we have. This looks much better than the one that I produced before the tutorial. So I'm gonna save this one, and then you can actually get it from my Patreon. So make sure you join my Patreon. And anyway, so after this, we're gonna have to model the structure for our beam feeders. So for our beam feeders, go to the base, and we're gonna incorporate our structural columns. So go to structure, And for our bin feeders, I'm just going to use smaller sizes. So go to load family, metric library, and structural columns, steel, British standards, UB, universal beams columns, okay. And then the size we're going to go with is 254, 102, 28. And say structure columns, make sure the height is set to level 1. We're going to offset it, obviously. So we're going to offset those columns. So let's just say add grids, and then we're going to place it right on these grids where they intersect, say finish. And then another one, this side, say finish. Go to the 3D view, select all these columns, and press spacebar to change their orientation. And this is how they are supposed to look. So I'm going to select them, go to section 1, and then I'm just going to say reference plane. So this reference plane, I'm going to offset it by 2 meters, place it like that. And then I'm going to select all these beams, these columns, and say attach top base. Make sure the attach column is set to top. And then I'm going to select this reference plane, and their offsets are going to be modified like that. So if I go to, actually, I'm going to have to reduce the offsets between this. So I'm going to select this reference plane on the floor plane, offset it to the other side by, let's say, 800 mils, and then another one to the other side. So I'm going to select these columns, then I'm going to move them towards this position. Move the other ones this side, and this is how close it's supposed to look. And now the other thing is I'm going to have to, actually these ones, let's just select them, press spacebar, and I think their orientation is fine like that. So I'm going to go to level 1, select this, right click, those annotations. So I'm going to say insert load family, metric library, structural framing, steel, British standards, universal beams, and say open. And then I'm going to choose 254, 102, and 28 for our beams. Go to structure, beam, and then I'm going to place my beams right on this point. Okay, you know what we should do? Go to section 1, name this beams, say yes, go back to level 1, select your beam, set your reference to, set your placement plate to beams, the reference plate that we just created. Place them like that. Obviously, that's the wrong size, but we'll modify that after. So I'm going to select 3 of these, change the size. I'm going to copy them towards the other side. Select the other ones, place them like this. Select these ones, place them like that. 4, is this 254? Okay. Go to the 3D view, and this is essentially how it looks. So after this, we're gonna have to place our bin feeder, which is gonna be uh, the last thing we're gonna do. But go back to the base level. Under foundation isolated, just place another foundations on the bottom of these steel columns. So if you go to the 3D view, this is essentially how it looks. So after this, we're gonna have to model our beam feeder. So in order for us to do that, let's just go to level 1 and measure the distance from there to there, which is 6,000. So I'm gonna go to File, New, Family, and then we're gonna use metric generic model and say Open. So I'm gonna go to the front elevation, set my reference planes, place to 1 each side. And then this one, we're going to offset it by 3000. This one also, this side, we're going to offset it by 3000 millimeters. Then we're going to place another reference plane running on top like this. And then this one, we're going to offset it by 300 millimeters. And then we're going to copy another one by 1,000 millimeters. Perfect. Okay, so after this, what we're going to do is we're going to model our geometry in essence. So go to create, swept blend, sketch path, place uh, your path like this. It's going to have two profiles and say finish edit mode. Select one profile, edit profile, go to the reference level plane or view, place a random block like this. And then you're gonna offset it this side by 300. So this side by 300. And then we're gonna do the same thing this side. So 3, and then all in all is gonna be 600. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's fine. So you're gonna say select profile 2, edit profile, then you're gonna place another one. So this one you're gonna offset it by 400. So all in all is gonna be 800. 400 this side, 800. So if we go to the 3D view, say join and say finish edit mode is gonna be joined like this. So I'm gonna select them. Let's just copy them to the other side. Mirror pick axis, and they're gonna be mirrored towards the other side. So this is how it looks. So another thing is what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the front elevation again, create, swept, no, not form, under void forms, swept blend, void swept blend, sketch or path, same logic that we used because there has to be voids so that the concrete can pass. Say finish edit mode, select profile 1, edit profile, go to your floor plan, and then you're gonna set your profile like this. Place it like this, like that, finish edit mode, select profile 2, edit profile, and then I think we can offset this one by 20 mils right on the inside and place it like that. So let's just test it. Go to the 3D view, finish edit mode, and let's just set this to fine, shaded, and this is essentially how it looks. So I'm gonna reduce the bottom profile, edit swept blend, select the bottom profile, go to the reference level, and I'm gonna select my rectangle, go to scale, select this point and then reduce your scale. So I'm gonna make it 250, press enter, go to the 3D view, select finish edit mode, and this is how it looks. So yeah, I think that's fine. So I'm gonna select this void and then I'm gonna copy it towards the other ones. Go to the 3D view and let's just make sure these voids cut. Okay, that's perfect. Now you're gonna go to the front elevation. So we're gonna model the top part. Go to no. Go to swept blend, sketch path right in the middle. Place it like that. Finish edit mode. Select profile 1. Edit profile. Open view. And then you're gonna place another rectangle like this. That's gonna be covering these entire blocks. Finish edit mode. Select profile 2. Edit profile. And then you're gonna place another one like this. So we're gonna offset each side by let's say 100 mils. This side is gonna be 100 mils. This side is going to be 100 mils, and also this side has to be 100 millimeters. So finish edit mode, go to the 3D view, and this is how it looks. So obviously we're going to use a uh, void swept blend, sketch path, place your path right there, finish edit mode, profile 1, edit profile. Then I'm just going to place it from this point, then it's this point. So profile 2, offset it by 20 mils from the perimeter of the top profile and place it like that. Finish edit mode, and this is essentially how it looks. This is perfect. So now I'm going to select the entire thing, filter. I'm going to only select my forms so that I can apply a material. And I'm just going to say metal, actually aluminum. And I'm going to load in aluminum and say aluminum. I'm going to load in aluminum, apply, and say OK. I'm going to load it in. And I'm going to go to level 1, and then I'm going to place it like this. Go to the 3D view, obviously. If I go to section view, I'm going to have to adjust it and place it like that. So this is essentially how it looks. Obviously, you're going to have to reduce the width, the spacing of your beams, or you can increase your family. So if I go to edit family, let's see if we can. I think it's gonna take a lot of time, but you can just increase the width of this family so that it can be placed perfectly right on top of these steel members. So yeah, that's it. Certainly gonna save this project. You can get it from my Patreon. Make sure you join my Patreon. Make sure you join my YouTube membership, guys. Let's support the channel so that it can grow, so that also I can upload more content. Oh, another thing we forgot, if you go to the base, structure isolated, let's just place our base right there before our mixer unit collapses. Hope the structural engineers are not cringing for that mistake. Don't worry, guys. Structural integrity, I always pay attention to that. But yeah, that's it. This is how it looks. Thank you guys for watching. I certainly enjoyed this project, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope you guys learned something, and I will certainly see you on the next tutorial. And make sure you join my membership. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you on the next tutorial. Peace.